A long time ago, in a galaxy full of fast fashion, one refashionista dared to rebel. I'm Refashionista Sheri, and I'm bringing balance to your wardrobe this Star Wars Day with no-sew T-flips, bedsheet Jedi robes, Leia and Yoda appliques, gluten-free Yoda cookies, and 5 upcycled looks that would make even Vader do a double take. Grab your scissors, summon the Force, and let's refashion the rebellion together. But before we jump into all of that, I just want to share the short little story time about why Star Wars is so near and dear to my little refashionista heart. And that is because I was born in the 70s and, grew up in the 80s. And when Star Wars first came out, the very, very first Star Wars, I went to see it in the theater when I was 3 or 4. And remember, this is the late 70s we're talking about. So my mother just dropped my older brother and I off at the cinema. And I was 3 or 4. And that means he was less than 10 years old. And we just walked into the cinema by ourselves and went and saw Star Wars. But something very, very cool that happened was I went to the bathroom. And in the bathroom, on the floor of the stall, was one of those little Star Wars land speeders, and I just kept it. And unfortunately, it has been lost to the ages. I mean, it is 46, 47 years ago now, but it was just one of my positive memories from my childhood, and I have so few, so it really is near and dear to my heart. And I'm sure other Gen X's absolutely have similar stories to mine about why they love Star Wars. And if you do, please do let me know down below, because it's always lovely to read other people's stories and find out, that we're not alone. But you know what? It's time to get styling and making. Let's start with my adorably delicious Yoda cookies. Create my groovy gluten-free vegan gingerbread with these ingredients: 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1.5 cups of all-purpose gluten-free flour, 1 egg or cornstarch for the egg substitute, a cup of margarine, a package of instant pudding in your favorite flavor, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of ginger, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. You can create a substitute for eggs by mixing 3 tablespoons of cornstarch with 1 tablespoon of warm water per egg required by the recipe. Mix all of the ingredients together until they form a dough. Add a splash of non-dairy milk if more liquid is needed. Grab an angel or fairy cookie cutter, roll your dough on a floured surface, cut out the cookies, and then let your kiddo take over the next part.
Off with the heads!
And remove the heads carefully. And then, do a little bit of remodeling with your fingertip. And you're left with some pretty darn awesome Yoda or Baby Yoda, or I guess Grogu, cookies to bake and decorate. This Jedi-style dress, it started life as a thrifted bedsheet. No pattern needed, just pure DIY power. You'll find it plus 15 fab projects in my updated Upcycled Textiles ebook for only $6. Find the link below and join my Refashionista revolution. The force and the fashion is strong with this one. First up is this awesome oversized t-shirt that I actually thrifted in the late 90s or maybe very early 2000s. And my brain was just telling my mouth to say, so it's not actually vintage, but that means it is vintage, right? Those years are now vintage. But hey, I'm a Gen X, so that means for me, the 90s were like last week. And I'm sure my fellow Gen Xers will all agree with me on this. However, I thought I would try to style this one a little bit fancier, and I'm pretty sure I have more than enough stuff in my thrifty DIY refashionista wardrobe to make an awesome outfit. And here's another one from the early 2000s, and this is clearly a mashup between Star Wars and The Wizard of Oz, and I just love this shirt so much. And again, I've had it for years, and I wear it all the time. Now, when I did first get it, it was a terrible gray color, and the characters really blended in to the actual color of the t-shirt, so I did go ahead and dye it this lovely fuchsia purpley color, and the neckline was super duper tight, so of course I had to chop that off to make it fit better, but you can see it's still going strong after, 20-ish years. I created this absolutely adorable patchwork Princess Leia t-shirt back in 2018, and I also did Yoda patchwork as well for my kiddo, but this came out so perfectly, and I think I did a pretty awesome job with especially the belt here. I'm very impressed, and I wear this still all the time, and you can create your own Princess Leia and Yoda garments using my fab tutorial. So let's just get to it. For this marvelous May the 4th project, all you need is a t-shirt or another Refashionista victim, the groovy character template that's available over on my blog, I'll put the link below, an embroidery hoop, some non-fraying fabric like felt, plus embroidery thread and needle and your scissors. Then all you gotta do is chop out the templates, pin it on your fabric, and cut out your characters. Once you have your pieces all cut out, go ahead and put your embroidery hoop on your t-shirt and then stitch them all on. Once you're happy with how your little characters are stitched on, go ahead and raid your stash for some funky little embellishments and stick on all the details. And here's another fantastic mashup t-shirt from the early 2000s featuring the always awesome Admiral Akbar. And I don't know why I was so drawn to him as a kid, but I just loved him so much. Anyway, this is another absolute wardrobe favorite of mine. Clearly, it's been washed and worn loads, but it's still going and it's still wearable. Okay, so I definitely think I saved the best for last here with my awesome structured Star Wars t-shirt. And this one here, you can actually do without sewing anything at all if you don't want to have shoulder pads, or instead of hand stitching these in like I did, you could simply use fabric glue. So you know what? Let's just go see how I made this amazing shirt. For this ridiculously simple project, all you need is your boxy t-shirt and your scissors. So your first step is to just mark where you would like your shirt to sit on your body. Now, I'm not a super fan of incredibly cropped shirts, so I just marked it kind of at the top of where my trousers sit. And I mean, you can use chalk, a pin. I used both, but whatever you have around the house will work just fine for doing your mark. So next you want to fold your boxy shirt in half. Side seams, they come in very handy because you just have to line them up and then lay the shirt on a flat surface. Mine does not have side seams here, so I had to kind of get a bit creative, and I lined up the shoulder seams. Then you want to take your mark that you put on, and if you need to move it on over. This is when, if you have a tape measure, it comes in handy. And yeah, simply measure there, measure here, and you want to move your mark to the back of your t-shirt. There's just one final little bit of measuring we need to do before we can start cutting here. And you don't actually want to cut all the way across because we want to have those funky ties in the front. So I kind of use my thumb here and yeah, add a couple of centimeters because my thumb is about 10 centimeters. So you want to stop cutting about 11 or 12 centimeters before you get to the front of the shirt. And we're going to start here at the back mark and go all the way straight across until our stopping mark. And then we're just going to do kind of a gentle half circle kind of shape here at the corner and go straight down. Next, we're going to go in a couple centimeters from the front and chop straight up until we get to 2 or 3 centimeters past our original cut line, and then end off in another kind of curved shape there. Now you could just leave these kind of boxy ends like that, but I don't really like the final look there, so I'm just going to go ahead and chop in and curve around so it has a much nicer look when it's tied. And when you flip your shirt around and lay it flat, you see you have 2 perfect little ties here. So yeah, let's tie them up. Et voila! My lovely shirt is almost done, but you know what? I think I need to do something else. I'm going to do something with the collar, and yeah, I'm going to here fold it in half. Again, taking those interior kind of shoulder seams and lining everything up as nicely as possible, as evenly as possible. There we go. And definitely want to have that A, as it seems to be the center, in the center. That looks pretty good. Now, because my logo starts really close under the neckline here, I kind of don't have a lot of space. So let's just wing this and give it a go and see what happens. I'm going to start just above the A. Yeah, okay. It's already cut, so there's no turning back now. And go, how far should I go? Oh, let's go that far. And then right here, under the last seam, I'm gonna chop here. And cut out the rest of this. Okay, and the moment of truth. Let's see if that turned out or if I just wrecked the shirt. I think it looks pretty cool. Ta-da! I think I'm just going to go along here and straighten that a little bit because it's a bit wonky. Okay, and I think then all I got to do is maybe chop off the sleeve hems so it has more of a deconstructed look. Now, as much as I loved this shirt just with all of the cuts going on and deconstruction and everything, I kind of wanted to zhuzh it up a little bit more. So I revisited my tutorial, which shows how to add shoulder pads to a t-shirt. And yeah, that's what I did. If you loved this intergalactic upcycling adventure, subscribe for more, hit that like button, and share it with your rebel crew too. Then join my rockin' Refashionista revolution for more sustainable style magic. Grab your freebie, explore my courses, and let's keep fighting the fast fashion empire, one rockin' refashion at a time. May the style be with you, always.
This is Confessions of a Refashionista.